So as most of you guys know, I am a huge reader. The impact that reading has had on my life has just been exponential. And over the summer, being a teacher, I have a ton of time to read. And I knocked out a ton of books this summer. Some were good, some were bad, but I want to give you the top 4 books that I read this summer for financial independence. And before you're like,
"Oh, Brad, this isn't personal finance, another book review."
you really need to just take a second and listen to me. I was never a big reader. I'm a math and science guy. Reading was never my forte, but ever since I did, it's helped me in so many ways. When I read books, it's pretty much for 4 reasons. 1, information. Another would be for education. And the third is if there's somebody that I just really like and pretty much anything they say I'll read. Kind of like that favorite comedian, you'll watch whatever special they have regardless of what they're talking about. So that's kind of a book that I like to read as well. I've also been asked a few times to go through all of the books that I've read this year and kind of like in order if you are starting from zero. So at the end of this video, I'll also go through some of the past books I've read to kind of create the ultimate FI course because that's where I'm getting a lot of this information. I'm going to give away one of these books, one of the books that probably most of you have never heard of, one that just came out that I really, really loved and I think that you should get your hands on. If you are new to the channel, my name is Brad. I make videos with tips and motivation on how to get out of debt, save money, invest for retirement, all in the hopes that we can reach financial independence and better our future. Because like I said, I wasn't much of a reader, I always went towards audiobooks first. So the first book I want to talk about was actually an audiobook. And if you want a little bit of an audiobook hack, Audible always gives 2 free books every single time you sign up for a free trial. It's really as simple as pick one of your 100 emails that you have, sign up for the free trial, pick 2 books that you really want to read, and then while you're still there, right after the books upload, just cancel that subscription right there and then. And they want you so badly that in a month or so, they're probably going to send you a link for another free book just in case you want to try them again and come back. I've read so many books through Audible on these free trials. I'll leave a link for that free trial right below. Check it out. Get 2 free books. The first book was I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And this is the second edition of that book. I did not read the first, mostly because it came out 10 years ago, way before my personal finance journey, but I wanted to get my hands on the book. I'd seen Ramit on a couple podcasts, and I have to say, and this is talking to other people, he kind of rubs people the wrong way. He's a little bit in your face, not like Gary Vee, but if Gary Vee rubs you the wrong way, Ramit might rub you the way. He likes to be very, very loud. He's in your face. He's very do what you want. But if you settle down and get past that shield or that mask that he puts on, he knows his stuff. And he's very, very good at allowing you, the person, to choose your own personal journey. He's a big advocate of, drink as many lattes as you want as long as they bring you extreme value. It was an awesome book, and I heard it was better than the first one. He's made some updates. It's a little more modern. But I think this would be the type of book for somebody that was entering the personal finance space or coming off of Dave Ramsey's program where they're feeling a little deprived, or they're feeling like they're, losing their relationship with money. Ramit kind of gives you a way to get through that journey and allow you to make the decisions that you want to make and kind of get you back on track to creating your own personal journey. The second book I actually got my hands on and was able to read was Quit Like a Millionaire. Now, this is also a book that has just recently come out. I'm pretty sure it came out in the spring, and I wanted it so badly. And I had heard Christy and Bryce on podcasts before as well, and I will give you a caveat. If you are looking to read this book, try and avoid their podcast. They pretty much give you a full explanation of the book, and that kind of was a little bit of a downer for me. I listened to them. They gave a thorough interview on Choose FI podcast, and there was a lot of similarities, which kind of ruined the suspense factor for me. So if you haven't listened to that and you plan on reading the book, don't do that. But this was a true inspiration story. This was a story that allowed you to believe in yourself and what you could do. She did not play a pity party. She didn't say like, oh, I was so poor, my life was the worst. What she did was say, hey, here's who I am, here's what I've been through, and here's how I persevered. She's known as being the youngest retiree in Canada. It's kind of a funny story. She has an amazing personality. She popped up on movies like Playing with Fire. I just can't say enough. And the book, just matched her personality just perfectly. I really, really enjoyed it so much. The book is a long one. It's 305 pages, but it's also one of those books, as I've said in the past, that you might not want on audiobook. There's some amazing charts and graphs in here that you're really going to want to look at. And I even took a lot of notes in the book. It's broken into 3 parts. That poverty part where she talks about, I don't want to give too much away, but she pretty much came from nothing, where a can of Coke to her was the biggest luxury item she could ever possibly imagine in her life. And then she talked about how she moved from poverty up to the middle class and then all the way up to becoming wealthy. So if you're looking for like a story of somebody like us, somebody that puts their pants on the same way as us, somebody that you could DM on Twitter and she's gonna get back to you, and you want that story and you want that journey to financial independence, if you need that push, I just can't say it enough. Get a hold of this book, please. Read it. If you are an FI person, hopefully you've already read it. It popped up big, but like I said, over and over again, get this one. The next book that I want to recommend was my Fanboy Book. Like, these guys could have made any book and I would have read it. So I went in already like super stoked to get my hands on it. And then I did. And I was so fortunate enough to bump into these guys at the Playing with Fire premiere down in Richmond. I talked to Brad Barrett. I said, hey, I would love to read the book when it comes out. And he said, hey, let me do you one step better. I'll send you a print. You can give me a little review on it. Let me know. This book is not out yet, but it is up for pre-order. And before I even get into it, pre-order this book. I'm going to leave it in the description below. I think it comes out, he said, October 1st or the first week in October. So not that far. But this, I will say this. When I got the book, I thought it was by Jonathan and Brad. I thought it was their book. And I know a lot of people out there think the same. That's not exactly the case. The author is actually Chris Mamula. I hope I'm saying that name right. And I've read his blog. He has an outstanding blog to begin with. Essentially, what he did is he went through all of the Choose FI podcasts and he picked the highlights, the things that really needed to be said, the things that were being said over and over again by all of the guests that Brad and Jonathan had on their show. He pretty much found all of the common trends and put these into one book for you. If you are a listener to the Choose FI podcast, I'm sure you've caught yourself where I have, where you're like, who said that? Or what did that guy say? Or, ooh, what I heard on that last podcast, what was that episode number? It's all right here. He goes through the journey of FI, but then pulls all of these tidbits from all these incredible hosts that Brad and Jonathan have had on there. And then on top of Chris's awesome interpretation, Brad and Jonathan throw their interpretations in throughout the book. So it is kind of like a 3-author kind of deal, but it's in the perspective of the main author, Chris. Brad and Jonathan are kind of in the background, and pretty much their contribution was all of these incredible interviews that they've had with people. This book is also broken up into groups. It's getting started, spend less, earn more, invest better, and then what's next, broken into 15 chapters throughout those parts. And like I said, you pretty much get all of these quotes from all of these different interviews, and then Brad, Jonathan, and Chris's perspective at the end. So it's not exactly an informational book. What it is it's more of an inspirational book. It's more of, like I said, you're listening to the podcast in the car and you wish you could write down what you just heard. He wrote all the things that you want to hear and all the things that you need to remember from all those interviews right here in this book. Comes out October, pre-order it. I'm telling you, be one of the first people to get this book. You will not be disappointed. It's one that's going to be on my shelf, and I know that I'm going to reference back to when I have one of those moments like, oh, what did the mad scientists say? I just want to go back. So I'm glad that this is now a part of my arsenal. The last book I want to recommend is kind of from my entertainment. I wanted something outside of the FI community per se. There's only so many financial books you can read, and this one was hot off the presses. Somebody recommended it to me and said, Brad, hey, get your hands on this book. It'll be awesome. It will refire you up, not only in YouTube, in life, in personal finance. And they were right. I kind of like wish that I hadn't stopped reading this book in the middle of the night, because when I was done, I was just so motivated to go out there and succeed. Now, the book is called Unqualified Success by Rachel Stewart. And it's like I said, hot off the presses this year. And one of the coolest things I love about it, and like these are like little quirks that I really love, the pages are white, like jet white. It's like so pro. I kind of like that in a book. So that kind of like initially when I got my hands on it, those stark white pages were just so incredible to read. And in a second, I'm going to tell you how you can have this very copy. I'm going to mail it out to one of you guys in just a second. I'll tell you exactly how that's going to happen. At first, when I started this book, she kind of starts off telling me how unqualified I am for everything. At first, I was taken back, like, why is she telling me I'm so unqualified for everything? She's pretty much knocking me down. And it's not the cliche knock me down and pick me back up, but what she was doing was she was putting some things into perspective. She was saying that so many times we can have these mental blocks where we have this imposter syndrome, like we feel like we don't belong. And it took me a little bit to get a couple pages in and realize that's what she was saying. The book is very good at helping us, and me included, get through that feeling of imposter syndrome that we have. She pretty much talks about everything in our life that we've ever done, that we've ever started, we were technically unqualified for. And it was the times that we battled through that unqualification and we learned and we listened to others that we were able to succeed. And kind of like how when we get older, sometimes we'll lose that fire. And she really put back into my head, like, keep going, keep fighting. You know, you're maybe unqualified, but that doesn't mean you can't learn and become qualified. I mean, my very first job ever in a pizzeria, I wasn't qualified to work there, but I turned out to be a really, really good employee. My first day teaching, I was super unqualified to be a teacher. Now, one of the best teachers around. My small business, I don't have an MBA. I didn't know QuickBooks was. She had a similar story. She kind of just got thrown into this job after being a stay-at-home mom. She had a great opportunity to get a good job, something that she was passionate about. Went in, knew that she was totally unqualified, but knew that she had the fire inside her to learn it and become a successful person. And I really feel like I can attribute this not only to like just getting a job or a career, but in my financial journey as well. If you look at some of the chapters, you know, mindset, the TheFinnMindset, you know how that important that is to me. You know, belief in action, your vision, grit, fear, failure, hunger for growth, perseverance, vulnerability, showing up, and the ripple effect. It ended with that ripple effect, and it's so true. How when you do these things, it's going to ripple out around you, and you are going to bring other people in that are just as like-minded as you, and together you're going to form teams that really are unstoppable. And the author Rachel, I did some research on her. She seems like a freaking badass. She's a mom of a few. She's an ultra runner. That alone, like I said, I'm an ultimate fan now, and I'm so glad that this book came recommended to me. And if you need a book outside the personal finance space, or you just need a little bit of fire in your side hustle, your entrepreneurial spirit, I am going to give this to you. And here's all you have to do. Shoot down right now and hit the thumbs up button. Give this video a like. Then head into the comments. Tell me what number thumbs up you were and the last book you read. I'll let that go till about Friday. Friday, we'll put it in a random generator. I'll pick one person. Please make sure you're willing to give me your address so that I can mail it to you, or a P.O. box, but I will get it out to you, and this can be in your hands next week. All you have to do, give the video a thumbs up, and in the comment section, tell me what number thumbs up you were and the last book you read. Okay, so now the ultimate FI experience in books and what I would recommend. First and foremost, we'll start at the top. If you have debt, read The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Like him, hate him, whatever. It'll at least get you started exactly the way you need to get started, and then over time you can learn ways to hate him. But if you have any debt, start right there. He is the first place to start. I don't have that book because it was paid forward to me and I've given it to somebody else. I have it on audiobook through the free trial with Audible. Thank you, Audible. But if you have debt, that's book number 1, The Total Money Makeover. Once you're getting towards the end of your debt-free journey and you're kind of like, I need a little bit more out of Dave, here it is. This is the next book after the Total Money Makeover that I think that would be great for you. Is the ultimate guide to like financial freedom and financial independence as a one-on-one. I did a complete review of just this book, so I won't talk too much about it. I'll leave that link down below. But as you're approaching debt freedom and you're about to start your personal finance journey, read this book. After you read that book and you're thinking to yourself, there's no way I could possibly do that, read this book. Playing with Fire, yes, a proclaimed fanboy. I love the movie. I love the book. I love Scott and Taylor even more. Just they have just enriched my life. I can't even talk about it. It's ridiculous. But the real world example of how a simple, regular old middle class family can make financial independence happen. This chronicles their journey to that and deciding that that's the path they want to take. You've heard about it by now. You've probably seen the documentary. I did a review of this book as well as the movie. I'll leave those down below. But if you're thinking to yourself that this can't be you, financial independence can't be you, get your hands on Playing with Fire. So you read The Total Money Makeover, you got yourself out of debt, then you read Financial Freedom by Grant Sabatier, you didn't think you could possibly do it, then you read Fire and you're like, oh my God, I can actually do that. Here's where we're gonna go right after we read Playing with Fire. The buck stops here. This book is so good, I didn't even do a book review on it. I can't even do the book justice. J.L. Collins is a legend in the financial independence space. I cannot do this book justice. I won't even try and talk about it. I will just tell you that if you want to do any sort of investing, any sort, and you don't need to be a sexy stock picker with the greatest portfolio ever and brag to your friends about what stock you had and who's doing good, and you just want to invest in retirement and become wealthy, this is it. This is the book right here. This is a book I would never give away. I've read this book like 5 times now, and I reference it on a regular basis. Please, if you are thinking about investing, come here. Then you can start to pick which ones you want to entertain yourself with. Have you listened to Choose FI? You like those guys? You like where they're going? Go for it. If you want to hear from a strong, powerful woman that's dominating in this space right now, get this one. And if you don't win the giveaway and you need a little bit of boost, not only in personal finance, but your entrepreneurial spirit and just your overall mindset, grab this one. Until I see you on the next one, guys, stay positive, work really, really hard, always be kind to others. Today is officially my last day as a parent of only one child. We're going to the hospital right now. I'm going to edit this while they're sleeping and get it out to you. So the next time you see me, I will be a new dad and hopefully nothing much will change. Have a good one, guys.